Is Jackson's Hughes next Chad Kelly?
In the world full of podcasts, he's the undisputed heavyweight champion of hot takes, an Auburn sports homer, master of the book, and message board legend. Get your buttons buttoned and your hats flattened because the Top Button Podcast is about to kick off, and you don't want to miss your courtside seat. Now, here's your host, Charlie Five.
Yes, sir. We're back. It's another episode of the Top Button Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Rush, a.k.a. Charlie Five, and we are ready to get after it. I got my man, Tyler Siskey, back on the show by popular demand. You're a hot ticket, man. I just got to go ahead and say it. You are people love to hear from you, and I'm so excited to get you back.
Yeah, I told somebody the other day, I was like, man, something must have happened in the state of Alabama this week. In the same week, I got asked to do an Auburn show and an Alabama show. What's going on over there? What are y'all doing? What are we doing?
Well, it's under better circumstances for the Auburn side this time. So we may have a lot of fun on this one. We're going to talk about Jackson Arnold's play. We're going to talk about the RPO this year versus last year. And then how hard is it for Hugh not to throw the ball down the field? Like, how hard is that for him to do that? We'll talk about that in just a second. But before we do that, let's give a quick shout out to Rhoback.com. Use coupon code BARN20 to take 20% off your order. Polos, hoodies, pullovers, doesn't matter. They got it. They have Auburn licensed apparel as well. You can save big. Make sure you use that coupon code BARN20. Show them some love. It's Rhoback.com. I'm going to paraphrase this the best I can because you said a quote on your show. I believe it was Monday. Mcready and Siskey, you guys got to check it out. You said something to the tune of, I know this offense. I've called this offense, and I don't think I've seen a quarterback run it as well as Jackson did, going back all the way to maybe Chad Kelly, and they felt like Hughes finally got him a quarterback. Just talk about what you meant by that, and let's have some fun.
Yeah, I thought he did. In that offense, it's so much about decision making at the quarterback position, and it's not just in the passing game, right? So obviously the passing game matters, but in the running game, when you're giving players, particularly at quarterback, 4 and 5 different options when a simple run's called, making sure you're getting in the right call, and more importantly, staying on schedule. And I think what you saw with Auburn's offense is one that's offensive line play too, right? Is big. Sure. And Hugh says it all the time, big men lead the way. That's one of his favorite sayings. And when you can run the ball for, 6.7-ish somewhere yards to carry, they're averaging a little over 7 yards on first down. And you can stay on schedule. It's a hell of a lot easier to call 2nd and 3 than it is 2nd and 13, right? So sure. He just made the right decisions. I thought he did a hell of a job in the run game with, the quarterback runs as far as his time to pull it and his time to give it. He made the right reads and he got him in the right plays. And I thought he threw the ball great. I thought there was I think the over, and I haven't watched the all 22 copy of this game. I just watched the TV copy, but I think the over to Cam Coleman was probably a little wide of its normal target. Ball's usually caught a little bit inside the top of the numbers, between the hash and the numbers, but still, regardless, I thought from particularly a first game in that offense, he got a couple times with protections. I think they had it set the wrong way. I think, I will never know unless I'm in the meetings, but I think he had the protection set the wrong way once. They were giving them apparently it looked like they were trying to play bear. And it looked like the offensive lineman on TV copy, maybe we call a 5 call, and the back went the wrong way. Back left out of there early. The backer got him, and they got some late field pressure a couple of times.
I think that was on the fumble too.
Yeah, they had a couple of those, but those were all fixed. Those are very easy fixable deals, and once you see it, and he'll probably see it again. He'll probably see it this week. But he's a very intelligent player. I think he will do really good going forward.
So you mentioned how easy it is to start 2nd and 6, or I'm sorry, 2nd and 4, 2nd and 3. I think Auburn averaged just under 7 yards a play on first down. The first down play caller was dialed. I feel like the first down play caller was dialed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hugh called a hell of a game.
Yeah.
He really did, and I'm sure we'll get to it later on. But not only did he call a great game, he was very patient, and that's tough to do. When you got that many guys, I know we'll get into it. I won't jump to it, but
Yeah.
when you got that many guys to stay that patient, and look, he's going to win the game. I mean, it's like somebody, oh, we didn't get the ball to this guy. Do you want to win the game or not? I mean, because the alternative isn't throwing into bad looks, and so I thought he did a great job with that. I thought the offensive line was really good. One of the better offensive line performances of the week for me. I thought they played great on the road. I thought the operation got cleaned up. It's tough sometimes in that offense to play in that noise and do those things, but I thought they did a great job, and I think gives them come back home this week and play a couple games at home before they go get tested on the road in Norman.
Exactly. One of the things you said the last time you were on, which I think struck a chord with a lot of folks, is you talked about this offense isn't that hard. It's not. You're just literally taking the information and you have an answer for every single thing that you're given. So, do you think sometimes the quarterbacks that struggle, they're either it's not so much that they're not getting it, but maybe it's like we're overthinking things. Is that, you think that could have been some of what the issues were last year with Peyton? Maybe I'm thinking too much instead of saying what's going to get me 4 yards. It seemed like Jackson was just like, that's the call. That's what's going to get us ahead of the chains. And that's what we're going to go with. That's the decision we're going to make. It's really simple, like you described last year.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's an instinctive thing, right? I think they have to. The quarterback has to think like the coach. I mean, at the end of the day, you got to think like the coach. If it's, I think we talked about this last year. If it's 2nd and 2, and you don't have a clean look, I know let's take a shot down, right? But if I don't have a clean look, or I need to get a first down, it's 3rd and 1 or 3rd and 2, and we got an RPO. I may have a pull read, okay, but I can ride the running back down in there to get the first down, keep the chains moving instead of pulling it and hope to hell they don't have a squeeze scrape or a safety coming down to answer out of the top. I think there's risk versus reward, and you got to kind of think like a coach, and you got to know, you got to take educated guesses on when to take a shot and not. If I look out there and I got Cam Coleman versus a dude in a knee brace and press man, and it's 1st and 10, and we got safety middle of the field, I'm pulling it and I'm throwing it because that is an educate you. It's all about percentages, right? And so, you just gotta see your matchups, and you got to run those options through your head pre-snap. And like I said, I thought he did a phenomenal job. Again, I thought Hugh called a great game. And I said what I was talking about on the show is I don't think Hughes had a quarterback to run this offense effectively since Chad Kelly. Now, he had 3 in a row that were really good, right? He had Chad Kelly, had Bo Wallace was really good for us.
Right.
And then we had Ryan Applin all the way back, who's now the offense coordinator at Georgia Southern. But we had those 3 in a row that were elite and, get you in the right plays, can change the protections, can understand the operation. And, Hugh, and it goes, and when I say like a coach, right? So I'll give you an example. Hugh will get in a flow sometimes, and he will call plays that were maybe from a few years ago.
Yeah.
But what he's trying to call. And so you'll have to interpret for him. Like he'll, and it's the same play, but he may have changed the name, and the same thing in protections. A lot of times Hugh wouldn't even call the protection because the quarterback should know what it is. So he would just call route combinations. And when you get going fast and playing with tempo, but I think the one thing you've seen with Hugh, as he's matured as a head coach, I think the one thing that he does a better job of today than he ever did was he manages the game, for the offense and the defense.
I think that was a big thing when people talk about the way the game played out against Baylor. That's a big thing because you had to win that game. That was not really a game where you go work on things. You know what I mean? That wasn't really a get right game. That was a game you had to win. I feel like, I think there was a lot of pressure based off of the previous 2 years and going into this one. So, hey, if they're going to give it to you, keep taking it and let's get this win under our belt. And we got 2 more over the next 2 weeks that maybe we can go sort of get right, so to speak, and work on that passing game. Am I crazy on that? I mean, I felt like this Baylor game was a had to win, must win.
Well, from a coach's standpoint, they're all must wins, right?
Sure.
Like fans kind of take breathers, right?
Yeah.
Coaches don't take breathers.
Sure.
Every game's the same. And I mean, Do you think coaches in Tuscaloosa this week are trying to take a breather because they play Monroe?
No.
Like the fans may, the fans go, "Oh, we're playing Monroe, and we're going to win this game." Blah 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 blah. Well, from a coach's mindset, you're like, "Hey, if we screw around and lose this game,
we're in trouble."
So every game's like that. So it's not coaches. It's not really about. It's not about who you're playing.
Sure.
It's about you, and it's a coach cliche, but it's all about you. It's all about it's about getting better every week, and you got to control what you can control. You can't control who's on the schedule. Coaches can't control that. So you got to play your game no matter who you're playing, and you got to go out and execute. And these are kind of games that nobody cares about unless you lose them. So from a coach's standpoint, yeah, you care about them all.
Sure. I want to ask you a question about. I think the average fan would probably ask. Last year, it felt like the team's strength was maybe Jarquez Hunter running the ball a little bit more. Why? What is the difference between the RPO this year, or I guess the Baylor game, versus what you saw a lot last year? How could Auburn have leaned on this type of running attack a little bit more, and what kept them from doing it versus putting the ball in the air?
The guy pulling the trigger.
Yeah.
I mean,
he makes the decisions.
That's like, we handing it, we pulling it and spitting it, we throwing the RPO, we throwing front side, we throwing back side. Making the right decision.
It's as simple as that.
Not hard.
Yeah.
Like Auburn played very well when he executed the offense, they won games. When he didn't, they didn't. When you're throwing a one-on-one and an RPO and you leave the ball 30 feet off target on a 30-yard throw, you
can't do anything with it.
Can't do anything with it.
Or go back to what you said earlier. Yeah, the decision on second one or second two shows you got the passing option. You pull that and throw it when you could have got the first down, and now on third down you get a false start and you're screwed.
Like I saw this happen a lot last year. Or you see a squeeze in, you go to pull it, but you're not seeing that they're squeeze scraping because you don't understand what the techniques are, where the gap players are, right?
Yeah.
So if you're pulling, all right, I hope that's just not going to go over anybody's head, but if I'm pulling into an open B gap, okay, so right. I got a defensive end, I got a gap player, whether it's a shade or whatever. Okay, that backer's got B gap. So that means that end comes squeezing. He is canceling from C gap. He is canceling B gap, which means you got a squeeze scrape player. All right, you with me there?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if you're running to a 3 technique, okay. All right. A lot of times, if he squeezes, they're going to be rallying out of the top with the safety. So if they're too high and that safety is down at 8 or 9 yards, okay, I got to look pre-snap and say, hey, he's down at 8 or 9 yards. I got a 3 technique right here. If he squeezes, there's going to be a safety to come hit me in the teeth. Like right. Those kind of things got to go through his head. And I think it was just literally instead of focusing on a lot of that offense is focusing through one player to another.
Right.
This guy does this, but you got to know what's coming down the road and prepare yourself accordingly. I think he got deked in the Oklahoma game on a pick. He didn't notice outside leverage. Okay. If they're showing zero pressure, okay, it happened to Ole Miss this past weekend and Georgia State got away with it. But if they're showing zero pressure and either one of your inside guys, if they're playing outside leverage man on an inside receiver, that's literally throwing up smoke signals to let you know that, hey, someone is about to poach from the inside. They're not just going to give you a free release slant, across the middle. So those kind of things, seeing the picture and putting it all together.
Gotcha. So it's more than just what are my keys and what are my reads. It's you got to understand.
It's not playing a video game. It's
exactly.
not. They're not putting the little R button for who you got to read on the video game.
Man, that makes it easy though.
You know what I'm saying?
If,
I know.
If that's there, you can just dominate.
That would be cool if you could do that. But I don't think they're going to allow that to go in.
Oh man, I love it. So one of the things you talked about in this press conference, and Hugh personally, so I know that you know this better than anyone, but it really truly seems, and I can go back to the Kentucky game last year, like you can almost see the pain on his face when he says, "Oh man, I wanted to take some shots, but we just couldn't. We had to continue what they're giving." Just peel the curtain back on Hugh and talk about how hard that is for him not to just let it rip when he wants to.
Yeah, I was talking about it during the game with my dad, and I was like, hey, he's going nuts right now because
Yeah.
I know he wants to, right? And I mean, again, I remember, I don't know if I told this on there, but I got in trouble, or he yelled at me one time. We were playing Middle Tennessee State in Murfreesboro,
Yeah.
and it was for the conference championship. Okay, and we were like, Hugh wanted to be in the top 25. That was his thing. We were Arkansas State. He wanted to get to the top 25. And like when you looked at the votes and stuff, we were like 28th or something going into the week. Well, we were up in the fourth quarter, and I'm sure somebody will send this to him, I know. But we were up in the fourth quarter, like, I don't know, man. We were up like 35 points or something in the fourth quarter. Well, he would call the play, I would send it in. And so I and Darren Hiller, who is now at Auburn, he works with offensive line at Auburn. So Hiller was on a separate channel. So he coached offensive line for us, but he was on a whole separate channel. And I'm like, okay, Hugh's kind of like checked out a little bit, and he was he was way down the field. And so he didn't give me the play. So I sent a play in. I don't know if he was talking to defense. I don't know what he was doing. And so I ended up taking all my starters out, and I put all my twos in. And when I did that, all right, Hugh doesn't notice because we free rolled just about the whole time at receiver. So it was nothing. I don't think that really triggered him. And then we run a play, we get like 8 yards or whatever. Well, then Hiller he's not on my channel. So he saw me sub. And so the very next play Hugh starts trying to go tempo. Well, Hiller sends his whole 2 unit in. And he's like, what are we doing? What are we doing? And well, then Grant Hurd, he's up there. He sees Hiller put in the 2. Oh, they just thought Hugh had told me to start subbing. And so he sends in the backup quarterback. And here we go. And he spends the whole drive going, y'all don't want to be top 25. Y'all don't want to be top 25. Y'all don't want to be top 25. And in my head, I'm going like, just let's nobody screw this up, let's just play. And I'll never forget, I had a receiver named Rod Hall, and he was a JUCO transfer from California. And we had a spit screen on RPO, and they spit it out to him. He drops it at like the 8-yard line. And Hugh just laid into me. I told y'all don't want to be top 25. He just got fed up with it, said, y'all call it, I'm done, and just walked away. So he wants to score, and he wants to score a lot, and he likes to be aggressive because he was going tempo when we were up. I think we were up 30 points, 35 points. We were up big in the fourth quarter. And so I tell you a lot to tell you this. I know that he's got some toys on the outside that he hasn't had in a while.
Yeah.
He wanted to break out the toys and start playing with them. But look, Dave Aranda, I don't know if it was to his credit or to his detriment, but come hell or high water, he was not getting out of too high. And so you can't throw into that when you have an advantage like it gave Auburn. I mean, they're going to be a man short on count. You can get 2 options where they're going to be a man short, and you're running it for 7 yards a pop. I mean, you're not going to, you're going to do that to make them come up so you can play with your toys. But he just said the hell with it. He wasn't going to do it.
So when you're going up against, I know you talked about the coaches don't look at these next 2 as freebies. Hey, it's business. You got to handle it. But I think I'm hearing a lot of this type of offense. It's good, but does it translate when you play some tougher SEC teams? So I think a lot of fans are wanting to know, like, how do you take these next 2 weeks and develop the vertical passing game? Because that's been one of the, I guess, if you had to have a doubt or if there was any questions about fall camp in Jackson, it was that, that drop back, no RPO stuff. We're just drop back and passing. Like, how do you work that in over the next 2 games without just sort of like disrupting your flow, but focusing on things that make you better, I guess?
Well, don't take this the wrong way, but I think the coverage of fall camp, in the absence of information, things get crazy, right?
Yeah.
To say that this offense doesn't work against higher level.
Let me make sure I'm clear.
We got to remember that, Hugh Freeze beat Nick Saban at his prime 2 years in a row with this offense.
Let me make sure I'm clear. I'm not talking about this offense in general. I'm talking about an offense where the quarterback is carrying the ball 16 times a game and you only throw it 17 times.
Well, you're gonna have depends on how they play you, right? But
Sure.
the drop back stuff that comment, like I didn't that comment didn't even phase me. Now it phased the fans.
Sure.
But the fans, I challenge you to go back and look how much drop back protection is getting called anywhere in college football.
That's a good point.
That the RPO world, all right, so we used to have slide protection. We'd throw quick game. We'd throw hitches and slants and all that stuff. And then the RPO world took that away. Like hardly anybody runs true quick game anymore. You know, what you see on Sundays in the NFL, that doesn't exist anymore. That's been replaced by RPOs. Drop back protection, nobody ever gets into it as much anymore because of the style of play has changed. You know,
Sure.
we went from going like we went from running, if you counted all of 6-man and all 5-man protection, which is drop back protection, we went from running that about 70-80% of the time, maybe even 90% of the time in our passing game, to running it about 10% of the time within 1 year. Because all of your, and we call, you know, it's RPOs. We used to call it run action passes. Okay. And play and different kinds of play action protection. He was particularly talking about drop back protection. Do you need to still run it? Sure. But that's not what you're calling on 1st and 10. That's your 3rd and 9, 3rd and 10, you know, your 3rd and long protections that you're going to run. And sometimes you run other things that doesn't take up all those snaps. And so, you know, at the end of the day, I imagine you know, I don't know if you noticed the same thing I did, but when you get in drop back protection versus your own team, and you got dudes like they got on the other side to rush the passer, I don't think it would be very successful. You know, and it's you know, it's probably going to struggle a little bit, but yeah, that rolled right off my shoulders. I didn't pay attention to that comment.
So he was basically talking about the very, very low, the lowest percentage of the passing game in general is what he was talking about. That
I don't know. I think I saw him go drop back maybe once or twice in that game. And I don't know if again, I don't have the all 22, but he didn't do it much in the other night either.
I think that ought to make everybody feel
like the Cam Coleman catch. That wasn't drop back protection.
It wasn't.
No.
Wow.
That was play action. We used to call it dolphin. I don't know what he's calling now.
That's incredible. That's incredible to think about because again, that was the big narrative. Can they pass protect? But when 90% of the pass game is off these actions and RPOs and things like that, and that's what he said Jackson was doing the best at. That makes sense why you saw what you saw on Friday. So I guess that changes my perspective a ton.
I wouldn't be worried about it. I mean, they're good up front. So I'm not worried about it. I wouldn't be worried about it at all.
So what do you expect the next 2 weeks? And like, who's I guess the first real Oklahoma is obviously going to be the first real test, but I guess where's the first game where you see Auburn having, I guess, the most issues before that Georgia game? Oklahoma or Texas A&M?
Oklahoma, 100%. Oklahoma's good now.
Yeah.
Okay. Oklahoma's legit. And you know, the thing that, and I said this on our show a few weeks ago, Auburn needs to take their phones and throw them in the trash can. And they need to figure out how to play. That's coaches, that's players, that's everybody. You need to take your phones and your social media, delete it, whatever you got to do. You got to get rid of it for the next 3 months and just play football.
Yeah.
Are they going to lose some games? Probably. Okay. But you can't. The best thing that happened to Auburn was what happened to Alabama the other day, because they calmed social media down for a while, right? But you got on their end, but you got to throw it away and just play. They got a good team. And so you can't pay attention to outside noise. And right, wrong, or indifferent, this world we live in, that's all that anybody cares about.
Sure.
Like it blows my mind. Too many people care too much about what other people think about them. Okay. You know, if you're worried about what somebody wearing tighty whities in their grandmother's basement thinks about your play calling, who's calling plays on first down, I'd tell them to kick rocks. I don't care. They're not paying them $10 million or how much he's getting paid to coach. They're paying you. So go coach them. If you're a player and you're worried about what somebody in their tighty whities in their grandmother's basement that's never played a down of football, broken a huddle, thinks about your route running, tell them to kick rocks. Who cares? Yeah. And there's too many, but people care too much about that. I mean, they're paying you. They're not paying him to run routes. They're paying you. And so we got to get away from this, which has been a hot topic this week. We got to get away from being so soft. We got some mentally weak individuals out there, not only coaching, but playing too. They got to stop being so soft and go do your job. Go do your job. And if you can turn that off, they got a good team, man. They got a really good team. And that's the things that they got to work on. I mean, I think that's their biggest enemy the whole year. I think their biggest opponent is themselves.
Man, that ought to make you feel good if you're an Auburn fan. Man, I really appreciate you jumping on. Tyler, tell everybody where they can find you and support you.
Yeah, at Mcready And Siskey podcast, wherever you find whatever you find. We're on YouTube. We go live every Monday and Thursday at 2 p.m. Central on the MPW Digital YouTube channel.
Nice. And I think this is the first podcast I've ever recorded where we're on TikTok Live.
You're on TikTok Live right now. We're on TikTok. How many we got in here today right now? We got 220 listening to you right now.
What's up, TikTok? Let's go. Guys, I really appreciate you. Thanks for listening. Tyler, let's do it again soon. It's another episode of the Top Button Podcast. Stay buttoned.
Thanks for listening and drive home safely.